Well, it's time for our weekly edition of Crime Talk, and we're going straight now to be joined by the chairperson of eThekwini Secure, Imtiaz Syed. Imtiaz, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Inayat.
Yes, as always, we do appreciate your time with us. Now, one issue we want to focus on this morning is the state of homelessness in South Africa. And we know it's a major issue. Millions of people are homeless in this country. The question is, how real, how much do we actually buy into the narrative as far as the state of homelessness is concerned? I mean, how much of it could be even exaggerated, Imtiaz?
I think, Inayat, firstly, let me say this. When it comes down to eThekwini, let me speak for that directly because it affects us daily and all of the citizens within here. The city says that we have something like 4,000 homeless people in the city. But when we look at all the NPOs and NGOs and we get information from them, we in fact have something like around 10,000 homeless people within our city. Now, the city, the administration of the city, government by far and large, have totally ignored this issue. There is no one plan. There is no plan regarding what do we do about homelessness, how do we empower, how do we reinstate them back into their homes from where they come from, whether it's high flats, whether it's Bloemfontein or wherever it is that you come from. And there's no understanding, there's no social work being done around this. And there are random organizations trying to do feeding. Now, feeding by its very nature, yes, it's a basic human right, and we understand that and we get all of that. But ultimately, it does not take care of our problem. It, in fact, escalates our problem to the degree that we create a scenario by which there are many vagrants that now enter a particular suburb where there are feeding schemes. And that is now greatly concerning because ultimately when that comes, and I'm not painting everyone with the same brush. And sometimes, when I speak to this to some people, it says that I'm making a storm in a teacup. But at the end of the day, if you really look at the situation in terms of crime statistics, in terms of how it's relative, in terms of the newcomers coming into it, in terms of the drug-related issues that come with homelessness and vagrancy, we're really going nowhere quickly. And that is something that we need to look at now. I mean, an emerging market is something where we need to look and see where is it, what is it going to do, and how it's going to function. And if we don't start doing something about this problem right now, we're eventually going to find ourselves in cities where, and currently in Johannesburg Central, you find it in Durban CBD as well, where you can't even walk properly without someone coming out to you, you're feeling intimidated, all of these things. And this is the current situation that we face. But if we don't do something very soon and very quickly, we're going to find it escalating to a degree where it's going to be beyond control and the city is not going to be able to manage it. Currently, the city is not managing it. They're just moving people from one place to another. When we have some sort of function or something happening in the city, they move people out. And that's really what's going on.
Yes, Imtiaz, and I think you've provided a good overview on the state of homelessness and its impact on other issues. And you speak about things like drug, and we speak about crimes. We speak about people that have now become totally reliant on these feeding schemes that are taking place all around in various suburbs and all around the city. The key issue here is interventions. I mean, what
Absolutely.
sort of interventions are needed right now as we speak?
When we did an assessment, and I think it was about 4 years back as eThekwini Secure, and we went around and we interviewed and we found out and we got an understanding of how homeless people in fact become homeless. And we figured out that there are four different categories. There are those individuals that are elderly in age, meaning they're around about 55, 60 and plus, have some health issues and have been abandoned by their families. Those people are left destitute. And now it's left to the citizenry to now find a solution for them in particular. They don't have drug habits. They're unemployable because of their age and their health conditions. We need to, as citizens, speak to our hearts and start assisting those, right? Then you have the children that have been derelict in their duties as children at home. Parents have now neglected them. They now end up as orphans on the streets of the city. That is where the social system needs to come into play. DSD needs to come into play and now take in these children and say, how do we give you a brighter future? That is our second category. The third category is that there is no room within our criminal justice system that speaks to anyone that comes out of prison. So when prisoners come out of prison, because they have a criminal record, and we check these things when you go for employment, they're unemployable. And they end up being on the streets, starting to either peddle drugs, take drugs, commit crimes, and do all of that. That's your third category. And that's something that we really need to speak to from the side of provincial and national government, right? And then you get the fourth category, which is really touching to my heart. We spoke to a few individuals that said that I am not willing to be burdened with the challenges of life, and my choice is to live freely on the streets. Now, these particular individuals, I call them soulful people. They have souls where they don't want the burdens of electricity bills and rent and all of these things. They just want to be left free, get a meal a day, have a bed to sleep, and these kinds of things. And this is where our NPOs and NGOs need to start speaking to the elderly in the first category, and in the last category, those individuals that just have no movement in life and just want to live freely. There, we need to give them three basic things, which is basically a roof over their head, a place to sleep, a clean, decent place to sleep, a shower, and obviously food and some clothes on their back. And this is what I think is the solutions moving forward. We need to compartmentalize the issues of vagrancy, and we need to put them in their categories, because you can't take everybody and paint them with the same brush. Not all vagrants are criminals, and nor am I saying that feeding schemes are bad. But I'm saying, let us give responsibly. Let us give to those that I need. Let us develop programs that actually assist those that really need assistance. This way, we're just facilitating a process by where we believe that everyone should just be a part of a scheme of something. And yes, we're doing good because that's in our nature. And we just want to move forward with life because we are being selfish about the situation and how it affects the community by far and large.
Well, Imtiaz, as you were talking, I'm actually amazed at what you've just said and talking about these four categories of people. And I think
Mm.
very few of us actually look at it or think along the lines of homelessness in the same way that you've just described, and basically categorizing the various reasons and as to why people actually become homeless. And this is something for us to actually think about. And even the last category that you speak about, we see it in other parts around the world, not realizing that we have that category of people in this country. In some instances, more formalized, like, for example, if you look at India, you've got what they call the Jains, and they basically give up everything in life and they move from
Correct.
city to city. And these are people that wear a particular, where they just wear white clothes, they don't even wear shoes, and they just move
Correct.
around from city to city. But we
Mm.
have not realized, I've seen this in Addis Ababa, I've seen this in Ethiopia, where there are massive, there's thousands of these people in Ethiopia, and we have this
It's
thing in our country. And perhaps without the type of research and the fact-finding mission that your organization has actually done, we would not have been any wiser as to what some of these issues are and some of the reasons are.
Absolutely. And, we need to take a collective look at everything. Working in these silos of saying, okay, we're just going to run a feeding scheme, we're going to collect funds, we're going to cook pots of food, and we're going to feed everyone. Yes, it's all well and good. And I get that there is a space for it, right? But all the organizations, the major ones, the big ones, the small ones, everyone needs to get together, and we need to come up with a proper strategy. I mean, right now, how do we give dignity to a homeless person? How do we say, stop at a robot and say that, no, you young enough, you need to get a job? That you wouldn't put that person in your car. How about us organizing a place to say that, come here, we're going to do a CV for you. We're going to get you cleaned up. We've got a barber that we pay for. Come every day and have a shower. Hygiene, all of these things. Because now we make you employable. There are many people that are unemployable simply because of hygiene practices. Someone comes to your home and they say, I'm looking for a job, but he's been living on the street for the past month. He hasn't had a bath. He hasn't cut his hair. Would you even let him clean your garden? And this is the reality of the climate we're in. So we need to start thinking about how do we empower. And I don't say empower by giving people money or starting businesses for them, but simple things that make people employable, changing the mindset of those individuals, showing them a bit of care when care is required. Not everyone needs care. There are many individuals out there on the street that are manipulative in their demeanor and in their character because it's how they were groomed to manipulate you into giving them something. And I get that part also. But I'm saying there are those few. It might be 1 in 20, but those are the ones that we really need to take, and really need to look at us ourselves. And really, in terms of the perspective of our religion, it is our duty to take care of those individuals because those are God's people. Those are Allah's people. And we need to now start looking at it from that perspective. So let us compartmentalize. Let's help 5 people progressively, sustainably, instead of trying to help 200 people unsustainably.
Well, just yes, we're going to have to leave it at that. A lot more, that you and
Absolutely.
I can actually discuss on this particular issue, perhaps on a future program. But for now, we thank you. We say Jazakallah for your time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Chairperson of eThekwini Secure, Imtiaz Syed, was us this morning and taking us straight to the news. We've got Syed standing by.